welcome back to Coop fam. It's been maybe a week or two since we last uploaded a video, which would be Mia's birthday video. She's 2. And so I decided that I want to do her birth story. I wanted to do it soon after I did Malia's, but I never got around to doing it. And I think now would be the best time since you've seen her birthday video and you know that I had a Vbac because with Malia I had a C-section. So that's what I want to do today. So let's get into the video. So I have a note on my phone actually, and I did this with both of the girls. I just jotted some things down in notes during the day, like that they were born and after they were born. So I'm just gonna really base it off of notes and memory. So what I had wrote down, well, first, before we actually get into that, let's talk about my pregnancy with her. My pregnancy with Mia was amazing. Like, it was different than Malia's pregnancy. It was easier. I didn't have high blood pressure. Like, everything was perfect for her. I was sneezing. Anyway, with Mia, Eric and I wanted her as well. She was planned. She wasn't an accident baby. We tracked my ovulation, which we didn't need to do. We were so extra, but we tracked my ovulation and got pregnant with her during my ovulation period. So we got pregnant with her, I think it would have been in November-ish of 2015. And so my pregnancy was fine. Everything was fine. My appointments went fine. But they watched me more than they did with Malia just because of what happened with her. So they watched me more. So I was kind of high risk. So they watched me a lot. I had the normal ultrasounds. I had blood work, everything. They just monitored me more, checked my blood pressure more, told me to check my blood pressure more. So I had my own blood pressure monitor at home, and I also have and used an at-home Doppler for Mia. And so let's lead up to the day that she was born. So the day that she was born, I had noticed in the morning that I had some brown mucousy discharge, TMI, but mucus plug, you know what it is if you've had a child. And that was at 9 a.m. And so I would normally have stress tests done because of what happened with Malia. So I went to the hospital, I have in my note, got a call to go into labor and delivery for a stress test at 12:30. And it says due to BPP ultrasound score. So I had an ultrasound that day, and I remember now that they said that the baby is supposed to do a certain amount of things in a time frame, and she wasn't doing all those things. So they sent me for a stress test at 12:30, and I had left. So how long was it? It's probably like an hour or maybe 2 hours. I was laying there having the stress test done, and I came home, everything was okay. And I started having contractions 3 to 5 minutes apart. So after I left the stress test, it was a little bit after lunch, so I hadn't eaten yet. So I was leaving and I drove to get food, and I started noticing these like sharp pains. And I don't know, I didn't know what to think because I had a C-section with Malia. I didn't go into labor. I never had contractions, so I didn't know what to expect. So I'm driving and I'm feeling these pains. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what is this? And I'm driving having contractions, and I wouldn't recommend it. It wasn't safe, but I didn't know what was happening, and I could not do anything else. So I was driving home having contractions 3 to 5 minutes apart. I started timing them. I actually have a screenshot of myself timing them. I'll put it up on the screen. So I got home and I called Eric. He was at work. I called his mom because I couldn't drive, and the hospital isn't far from our house. So well, it wasn't far from our old house because we're in a different house now from when we had Mia. So she came and Eric came after her. So as we were leaving our house, Eric drove by us going to our house to get cleaned up from work before he came to the hospital. And so I went back to the hospital. That was maybe, I want to say it was half an hour after I had left the hospital. And it wasn't picking up any contractions. It might have been, but they weren't like as strong as they were when I went back, when I was there for the stress test. So when I went back to the hospital, I remember I walked into the door and the lady that, one of the nurses, when you walk in, they offered me a wheelchair. I'm like, hell yeah, like I'm not gonna walk up the stairs. And I remember when I got up the stairs, the lady, the nurse, saw me in the wheelchair. She's like, no, honey, you walk. And she made me walk to the room to get into the bed. Oh gosh, she's so funny. I loved her. And when they checked me, I was already a 4 to 5 centimeter. So you know what that means. If you've had kids, if you are a nurse, you know 4 to 5 centimeters dilated and 100% a face. And I had just left the hospital. Is that not crazy? So in Mia's birthday video, in this notes it also says, I continued having contractions that were closer together, in which I did. You can see in the video, like I was in pain. Like I had never been in that much pain before, and I didn't have an epidural because, one, I didn't want my chances of having a C-section be higher if I had an epidural, and I had read a few things that said that could be possible. So I just wanted to have a successful Vbac, and so I didn't have an epidural. I didn't have an epidural. That's crazy. And everything else happened so fast. It was like I had left the hospital and then I went back and she was born like 2 hours later, which is crazy. I pushed about 5 times when it was time to push, and she really just came on out. It was super quick and it was super special. It was just perfect the way it all happened. So after pushing her, and like you can see in the video, she was on my chest, my OB who delivered her was stitching me up because I did have I think it was 2nd degree tear. It might have been 3rd, I can't remember. I think it was 2nd though. I had 2nd degree tear, and if this is TMI, but if you've delivered a baby, if you're a nurse, as I said, she had to numb the area, so she would like stick a needle there to numb the area. So I felt that, and I felt like, I just felt it all. I felt it all. That she didn't even have to put the needle there, because I still felt it all. And as I'm holding me, I'm like like this, and they're like, do you want me to take her? Like, it was painful. I was scared to pee after, which they want you to do. I was just, it was crazy. It was such a crazy experience, but I would do it all over again. I don't know if I'd do it natural. I'd probably get an epidural. I don't know if I could do that pain again. It was crazy. But I will say that I did experience, I think I had a lot of blood loss after her, because that night Eric had gone to get us something to eat, and I just remember getting up. I think the nurses were there to help me go to the bathroom, or no, I didn't even make it to the bathroom. They helped me get up out of the bed, and then all I remember is them putting an oxygen mask on me and asking me to breathe, and then Eric comes back and they're like, oh, she passed out. And like, you don't remember when you pass out, so that's all I remember. But it happened more than once, because the next day it happened 2 more times, and I think that's why we had to stay an extra day. They wanted to monitor me because I was passing out. So I think I had a lot of blood loss from the birth itself. That was the only scary thing that I experienced with this VBAC birth was the blood loss and the passing out. I've never passed out before, and you don't remember what happens, you just hear what people say. And his mom, Eric's mom, was actually there for the one time because I was actually in the bathroom when it happened, and oh gosh, wow, that is crazy. But I'll include a whole bunch of little pictures at the end, but if you haven't watched her birthday video, please go watch her birthday video. It's so special. Both their birthday videos are so special to me, just like kind of reliving that moment and experiencing it again. It's really special. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.